Hopefully, your team does not need a quarterback. The best one on the market just got scarfed up. Appreciate y'all being here at the Voice of College Football. This is our daily, at least through April 30th, our transfer portal update live every day, as you see on the banner, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Let's get right to it with the big dog off the board. So maybe Jaden RASHADA can play. He definitely has the talent. We will take your comments and questions, of course, and let's get right to it. That's not what we want. We will technology can we'll see if technology can cooperate with us. Here we go. Quarterback Jaden RASHADA joining Georgia after leaving Arizona State. He's committing to play for Georgia after spending one season at Arizona State, according to his agent. RASHADA will join the Bulldogs after appearing in 3 games with the Sun Devils last year. We've looked at those games against pretty marginal opponents. He played okay. 4 touchdowns, 3 picks, 485 yards. He was the number 31 overall recruit in the 2023 class, initially signed with Florida, but was released with that ridiculous NIL deal that was reported, $13 million. The agreement fell through after the school's collective, Gator Collective, botched the deal. The Pittsburgh, California native eventually signed with Arizona State. His father played defensive back there. 4 years of eligibility remaining. He was the starter at the outset of the 23 season, but missed most of the year with a knee injury. Also missed spring practice with the Sun Devils following off-season thumb surgery. Of course, Carson Beck is the starter, and he will be the starter. So this is a backup situation and an opportunity for Jaden RASHADA to learn, to sit back, to be a situation one play away from becoming the starter, from being the guy that has to replace Carson Beck if there's an injury, and then set himself up to vie for the starting job in 2025 opposite probably the redshirt freshman Gunnar Stockton. So big news. Again, this is not a starting quarterback situation, but this is about as big as it gets when we talk about a backup quarterback situation. Jaden RASHADA to Georgia. Carson Beck's still the starter. All right, folks. Appreciate y'all being here. D-Rock Irish, Wet Blanket, and others. Fangway, Bo Weevil, Go Clemson. There we go. On Friday, we look forward to the Friday discussion because at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on our transfer portal update, we will be joined by Kevin Borba. He writes and broadcasts for Locked On Buffaloes. And so he will give us the latest on the mayhem at Colorado. That should be fun to talk about. So we will take your comments and questions, load them up for Colorado on Friday. All right, let's get to the transfer portal aside from Jaden RASHADA. I think this is a clear-cut situation. Georgia believes in itself. They believe in their development. They believe in their talent evaluation. They believe in their culture and believe that Jaden RASHADA, who could have possibly just wilted and died at Arizona State, possibly. Kenny Dillingham knows what he's doing, at least on the offensive side of the ball. So I'm not saying that, but just to be fortified with the resources, the facilities, the culture, the coaching, the development, Kirby Smart, all of it at Georgia. and understand that you are one play away from leading a potential national championship run. And if that doesn't happen, then you will learn behind Carson Beck and you will be ready to roll. And if you're not ready to roll going into 2025, you are never going to be ready to roll. So it's a good situation for Georgia football to put themselves in comparing Gunnar Stockton and Jaden Rashada. This is not a slam dunk number 2 spot either, because Gunnar Stockton, even though he's less experienced than Jaden Rashada just played the 3 games last year. Gunnar Stockton threw 9 passes. That's an advantage for Jaden Rashada. But Gunnar Stockton has been on campus at Georgia for 2 seasons, and he has been in the system for going on 2 years and has that advantage over Jaden Rashada. So I would not consider this to be a clear-cut number 2 position for Jaden Rashada, although it most likely is. Oh, we've got some fisticuffs in the chat here. Is somebody coming after Wet Blanket for being marginal? I don't see any comments about Oklahoma State being marginal in the chat. Maybe that's coming from somewhere else. Oklahoma State was better than marginal, played in the conference championship game and won 10 games. Of course they were better than marginal. Now we do have Cody Stovall of Locked On OK State coming on as well on Friday. Now, whether that's in the afternoon or we may record in the morning, whatever that is, it's going to be Cody Stovall, Locked On Oklahoma State coming on here at the Voice of College Football on that would be on Friday. Nick's coming back with this, and I believe Mick's a Michigan fan. Oklahoma State would have been in a 12-team playoff last season. You sure about that? I don't think so. Actually, yeah, I pretty much know so. Not after losing by 4 scores in the Big 12 championship game and being 9-4. No. Sorry, Wet Blanket, you would have not made a 12-team playoff last year. Go look at the rankings. Okay, we've moved on from Jaden Rashada. Let's get to the rest of the news in the transfer portal. We have, and we'll take it from the most recent today since we're there. Florida fifth-year defensive back Ethan Pouncey has entered the portal. I don't know if he is of the Pouncey dynasty. I got to think that that's a huge possibility since, of course, those guys played at Florida as well. Marquise Pouncey. And I am not coming up with the first name of the other Pouncey brother, but they were both big dudes, offensive linemen. So this is a slight defensive back here, Ethan Pouncey, who's been around for 5 years. So I don't know if this is a grad transfer. You would think possibly after 5 years. We have the daily update on former Louisville, although he never played there, so don't put that there. And Tennessee edge Tyler Barron set to visit Miami. We talked about that with Brad Tejeda from Kane's Insight on Wednesday's show. 6 sacks for Barron last year. He's going to visit Miami, and I'm sure he will be welcome there. Let's see here. I'm curious about Ethan Pouncey. Ethan Pouncey at Florida. 4 seasons. This is his 5th year. He has made a grand total of 6 tackles in 4 seasons. Not a factor. New Mexico State wide receiver Trent Hudson is in the transfer portal after catching 35 balls for 551 and 10 touchdowns. There's Jaden Rashada. Michigan's second-year offensive lineman Amir Herring is expected to enter the transfer portal. So he has not officially made that move, but Matt Zenitz of 247 Sports reporting the Michigan offensive lineman in the portal after coming into the program in 2023 as a 4-star. This is reminding me to contact Tom Luganbill to get Tom Luganbill back on the show. That was maybe the best conversation, just nuts and bolts football, that we've ever had on this channel. Cal has flipped Maryland transfer tight end Corey Dyches. He can play from Charlotte. Dyches posted 49 catches as a tight end, 491 yards and 2 touchdowns as a receiving tight end. I don't know about his blocking skills. Big pickup for the Bears, who needed a playmaking tight end. They got it. Corey Dyches, one of the best pass receiving tight ends in college football, goes from Maryland to Cal. Forget the time at Charlotte. He just basically used their resources. We talked the other day about Florida State wide receiver Vandravius Jacobs. He visits South Carolina. Memphis safety Jaden Johnson. He's in the portal. Johnson, a former 4-star who began his career at Ohio State, had 19 tackles for the Buckeyes in 2022. Jaden Johnson, Memphis. And Jaden Johnson this past season I got to think, unless he got hurt, would have been a factor for Memphis football this last season. But he does not show up on their stat sheet. Jaden Johnson does not. So I don't know what the backstory is there about his health in 2023. We've got another Louisville player entering the transfer portal. Does Jeff Brom have a problem here? What's going on? Is this NIL going bad? I can't think it's Jeff Brom. Louisville second-year cornerback Marcus Washington. He intends to enter the transfer portal. He appeared in 13 games for the Cardinals this year after transferring in from Georgia. So we've got another third team for a second-year player. Number 155 overall player in the 2022 class. Recruited and signed at Georgia. There will be teams all over the place tripping over themselves to get to Marcus Washington. Let's see if that is all special teams in those 13 games for Marcus Washington. I see nothing on the stat sheet for Marcus Washington in 13 games. So we're looking at a special teams player who, though, was a top 150 player coming out of high school. Keandre Lambert-Smith has signed with Auburn. We talked about that the last few days. Cam Coleman is a stud. This complements Cam Coleman, who is more of a playmaker. Keandre Lambert-Smith is the vet, the seasoned guy, as it states right there. 53 catches, 4 touchdowns last year. This coming in from Brad Crawford, who we have traded many messages, and Brad has been on the show many times in the past. We'll have to reel him back in. Kansas State and Ole Miss are 2 programs to watch for concerning Colorado running back transfer Dylan Edwards, and Ole Miss has just signed 2 running backs. They got back Henry Parrish from Miami, and they also got the New Mexico State transfer, Crosby Merritt, who ran for over 1,000 yards. So I don't know that Dylan Edwards, if he likes some competition, sure, but otherwise Kansas State might be a better option 4 touchdowns last year in the opener as a true freshman against TCU. Again, Dylan Whitkey, we talked about this yesterday, going from Virginia Tech to Minnesota. It's been a good transfer portal spring season for PJ Fleck. Louisville actually gets a commit, this time from transfer edge Miles Jernigan of Cal. Miles Jernigan. Did he do anything last year? Played a little bit. Played all the games. 20 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, and a sack. And he forced 2 fumbles off the edge. We talked a lot of Derek Harmon, both on the Miami show with Cam Underwood from State of the U last night. That's Miami, 7 p.m. Eastern time every Wednesday night. And we also talked Derek Harmon with Brad Tejeda yesterday. Coveted Michigan State defensive line transfer Derek Harmon looking at USC. He will visit there this weekend. The current plan is for him to then visit Colorado this weekend before Miami. So Derek Harmon, USC, Colorado, Miami. 4-star Utah transfer Devon Smith is expected to take a visit to Kentucky. I believe we're talking basketball there. No picture for us to lock in on and make that determination. But unless the triple-double has come to football, yes, we'll get right past that one. And I'm seeing a lot of basketball. Then we get to Josiah Wagner entering the transfer portal. Oklahoma cornerback, played in 7 games as a true freshman, including each of the last 5 regular season contests. He was a 4-star out of Washington. As of 3 hours ago, 247 Sports is reporting that there are 3,508 FBS players in the transfer portal. That breaks a record. Previous mark was set in 2022, 2023. Well, this is 2023, 2024. So I think we see a trend here. It just keeps going up and up and up and up and up with 5 full days and the rest of today to go. Michigan State edge by Job. We talked about him again with Brad Tejeda yesterday here, and then also with Cam Underwood on the Miami show. Penn State, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Kansas, BC, Vandy, Texas San Antonio, and that's the list for by Job. He had a strong evaluation coming out of high school, has not produced much at the college level. Let me know if you've heard that before. Rice cornerback transfer Jordan Dunbar. Now, he was an all-conference pick 2 years ago at Rice. Let's see what the Jordan Dunbar line looks like. Jordan Dunbar. Really? At Rice. Jordan Dunbar, 2022, Rice. I see nothing, as somebody once said. Yeah, I'm not seeing that on the Rice stats. Rice, 2022. They were 5-8. Jordan Dunbar. There he is. Okay. Guess you got to watch the guys play, right? Can't go by stat. 25 tackles. Didn't make any plays in the backfield. Probably wasn't asked to. Was sitting on an island on the corner and had no interceptions. But somebody, coaches, media, watching him play, 10 passes defensed. And then what happened to him in 2023 is he must have been injured. He was still at Rice, did not play a down last year. And he's all over the group of 5 map in terms of his visits and interest. Former Colorado State standout wide receiver Justice Ross Simmons. He's committed to Syracuse, caught 45 balls, 724 yards last season, including a big day against number 19 Air Force, 8 for 128 and a touchdown. And this is where we last left you. Former Auburn wide receiver Javarius Johnson set to visit Texas A&M. 10 career touchdowns. Simeon Barrow, we talked about this yesterday, visiting Missouri, visiting Miami as well. D-Rock Irish tells us that Dylan Edwards' dad played at Kansas State. Dylan was going to Kansas State, changed to Notre Dame, decommitted, and eventually went to Colorado. So there is some pull there. He's a legacy at Kansas State. I would love to know who his dad is. And Edwards at Kansas State. Nevertheless, from Cal to Louisville, culture shock. You know, anymore, a college campus just might be a college campus. You're talking about a true culture shock. If you get past the way people talk, what foods they like to eat, and what kind of music they like to listen to, if you really listen to their values, I don't know that there's going to be a huge, enormous difference. And yes, Jackson, it slipped my mind. Marquise and Marcus, I knew that it was basically it was one of these deals. Like I've got a buddy of mine, Keith, Kenny, Kurt, Kevin. Yeah, Marquise, Marcus. Yeah. D-Rock Irish is asking, is there a single source where you can locate each school and track how many scholarship players there are currently for each squad with 85 is the limit? This would be interesting info. Would it? Well, I don't believe that exists. I don't know who would want to go through that toil, and I don't know how much that would pay off. I truly don't. Okay, so let's see what else we've got from other sources today. If I can find them. So we've got our buddy Mike Farrell, who again, I discovered through D-Rock Irish, because otherwise I am not aware of this individual here. Mike Farrell, covering college football. A lot of group of 5 on this chain. So we will see if there's anything for us. Miami, Ohio running back Kevin Davis, he's in the portal. 62 catches. So good receiver out of the backfield, almost 800 yards rushing, 6 touchdowns, 9 total touchdowns. He will be able to land a spot, no doubt. We read this name the other day, defensive lineman Tawfik Thomas. He's visiting Arkansas from Louisville. We also have Wisconsin transfer linebacker TJ Bollers, who we highlighted a few days ago. He is committed to Cal. Bollers was a 4-star with a pretty high top 250 ranking when he left high school, but he is yet to make a dent in Madison, and so now he goes to Cal. USC defensive lineman Dejan Lafite entered the portal. We do a USC show every Monday and every Friday, and I have yet to hear that name. He was a true freshman last year. So this is coming from Tommy McIntosh. Man, that name sounds familiar. Tommy McIntosh. So we've got nothing on him from last year. And I don't know that we've got anything of relevance here. Texas A&M running back Jerry Johnson transferred in from Rice. He's back in the portal. And so let's see what's showing up on 3. The Jaden RASHADA story. Reggie Bush. Basketball, more on Tyler Barron. You see his stats. And the NFL draft is tonight. Total NFL draft picks by school since 2000. Okay, let's look at this. Ohio State 163, Alabama 154, Georgia 149, LSU 148, Florida, Miami, USC, Oklahoma, Michigan and Florida State tied at 115, Notre Dame at 105. Nothing seems too surprising there. Ohio State with a 9-player lead over Alabama. Michigan's going to jump this year considerably. You would think that they would get past Oklahoma at least. All right, folks, let's see. Adam says, who cares? Beck is the quarterback. This guy is at best a backup. And he may be the number 3 guy. Gunnar Stockton, Jaden RASHADA. RASHADA's got the experience of 3 games. Gunnar Stockton does not. Gunnar Stockton has the experience of practically 2 full seasons. Year and a half at Georgia. He knows the system. Jaden RASHADA does not. So Adam's telling us no big deal. But Adam, this is what we do here at the Voice of College Football. Oh, do you want me to explain the Belt Championship? Why not? Let's shoot. Nobody's here for the transfer portal. You guys are just hanging out with me. We're done with the transfer portal. Can't think of anything else. If you do have a comment or question, hit me up and I'll find it there. And keep in mind, tomorrow, Friday, transfer portal update. Who's at front and center of all of this and has been? Deion Sanders in Colorado. Therefore, we are going after one Kevin Borba to talk Colorado Buffs. So that's going to be worth listening to. This time, Friday, Kevin Borba, Locked On Buffs, with the Colorado spring game also on Saturday. And we've tracked it down our guy, Cody Stovall from All Day OK State, Locked On Oklahoma State. And he's going to join us at some point on Friday as well. And we get the Big Ten Live show on Friday. We are going to adjust the time to the NFL draft, I believe. Okay, the belt champion. Similar to the belt champion in boxing. What happens if Jimmy Joe is the heavyweight champion and he loses to Jerry Smith? Well, Jerry Smith now takes his belt and he's the champion. And then Jerry Smith may have it for one fight or 50 fights. However long he continues to win, he owns the heavyweight championship belt. But once he loses the belt again to another boxer. The same holds true here. It's just kind of a fun exercise to play. Therefore, I don't know who is the belt champion right now, because the belt champion isn't necessarily the national champion. So let's say over the course of Georgia 2 seasons ago winning the national championship, that they won the belt from someone, which, let's see. Yeah, there's really no way to determine it, although obviously everyone loses at some point in the span of 2 years. Nobody has gone back-to-back undefeated. So they lose the belt if they have it at some point, even if you're the national champion. So Georgia, for example, could lose the belt during the season and never regain it because they don't play the right games and the right teams and still win the national championship. So let's just say, for argument's sake, that Georgia was the belt champion after the 2022 season. They were the national champion and also the belt champion. Well, they kept the belt all the way through the regular season, and then Bama beat them in the SEC championship game. So then Bama would be the belt champion. And then they went to the playoffs, and Michigan won over Bama to win the belt. So Michigan is probably the belt champion. But there are a ton of other scenarios that could be in play, that somebody else won the belt and then they lost to somebody who went to a bowl game, missed the playoffs, went to a bowl game, and just kept the belt. Like Baylor has had the belt. So yes, this goes back to the beginning of college football, I assume. That's the extent of my knowledge on belt championships. It's like a fun little exercise. Our fine caller, Chris, tries to make it out to be like the end all be all, like it matters. It doesn't matter. It's a fun little exercise. That's what it is. Yes. It is what it is. And hopefully the person that created it just created it to be a fun little exercise to keep track of, not to be a legitimate championship. And that's where our friend Chris gets confused on it being legitimate. Okay. We do have our YouTube channel membership. So please check it out. Stay right here on the channel and check out the membership, which reminds me, for the folks that received memberships via Moose or Jackson recently, I will make a post on the community page right here and leave the Discord link so you can go onto Discord and give you a little rundown of what we have available here at the Voice of College Football. All right, that's another day in the books via the transfer portal here at the Voice of College Football. My work is not done, but I believe this is the last time you've seen me today. Isn't that a sad thing? Unless there's big breaking news, and then we will see you. D-Rock, appreciate that. Please hit the like button on your way out. Tell your friends and family about the voice of college football. There are actually people out there, it might be reflected in the views totals, that don't know that the voice of college football exists. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine living a life without knowing about the voice of college football? It's hard to fathom. Be a life preserver, a lifeboat to those folks. Let them know about the voice of college football. We typically have a Clemson show at 7 o'clock Eastern on Thursday night. I don't see that that's been scheduled, so maybe they're taking the NFL draft off. I don't know, but be looking out for that notification. Next up, other than that, we're coming back on Friday. Transfer portal update live right here. We will see you then.